we are going to share about how to use Quick Start AI from AutomatePro to generate a test of ServiceNow functionality. Tonight's Quick Start AI exercise is using the ServiceNow Service Operations Workspace, and we're going to test one function of the Service Operations Workspace, one that is used very commonly in help desks, service desks, a little less in the field, but it is a very useful tool, and I'll do a quick demo of what it is and how it works before we get into the test itself. Our operations daily are very interrupt driven. When I taught interactions from Service Operations Workspace, it was in a very busy hospital call center. And of course, when you're on calls all the time, you will take one call after another, the phone will keep ringing. You use interactions to help to record your calls as they come in. When somebody calls, you'll hit new for interaction. And then you'll very quickly begin as you're talking to them. What's the issue? What's the impact? How urgent is it? Stuff like that. You'll start to take notes as you're talking to the customer. Who's the customer? You'll just basically take those notes. And as you take notes, Interaction tool will fill out what it knows about that person. And then you'll take notes as you're talking on the call. Was working on this. Or when you're talking on the phone, especially in the hospital and healthcare industry, the first thing is this impacting patient service, patient, solutions, patient care? You'll basically have a number of things that you're going to ask the customers as you're talking to them. This is a phone call. It's a new ticket. You'll take notes here, and then you'll save that, all those notes. And then if you have enough information, you know that something's broken, I can use that data to immediately create an incident. And in that incident, it's going to copy over all the incident details. And then you can add the more traditional details of an incident here, and then you can save it. And that's going to allow the incident now, INC 10249, to be created from the message that you had started making. So let's go back over now to interactions. In interactions, you can see all the notes that you have assigned to yourself, assigned to you. You could see all active interactions that are assigned to everyone, open for, or you can see all interactions in the system. And you can see how they're created by chat, phone, video, whatever way that it's created. So that's an interaction. You can see clearly why that would work well for phone operations, but it also works well for an interrupt. Let's say, very typical solution, you begin your workday and you're looking at, what do I need to do? What's priority for me today? Well, I've got 2 incidents assigned to me that are in progress. These are the 2. If I had a big list of work to do, I could switch that over and see the issue as a list instead of cards, and sort that by priority or sort by state, what's in progress, what needs updates, etc. Somebody comes up to your desk and a phone call rings at the same time. Well, if I was looking at this incident, my phone started ringing. Incident 182 is right there. I go into home, my phone is ringing. I click into interactions, new, and I'm talking to Able Tutor on the phone, and Able needs password reset. So I send him very quickly. I will look over to knowledge, for example, and say, what do I have here? This gets, by the way, even better once you get to Xanadu. But you can go into all articles, you could search on knowledge related to passwords. And if you see that, you will copy that. Let's just say that this is your password. Copy that knowledge article. You can go back into your interaction. Got your interaction for Able. Here's a knowledge article on how to fix that. Save. Then you save. And you have contact. If you ever need to call Able Tutor back, you get his phone number right there. Meanwhile, that's message 23. We were working on incident 182, and then all of a sudden somebody's at your desk as well. Go into all, select new. It's Beth, and Beth comes up to my desk and says, can AutomatePro use Service Operations Workspace? Can we use AutomatePro to create a test for Service Operations Workspace to represent how you create a new interaction? And you will save that. And now we've created an interaction for this work that I need to do with Beth England. And that's INS 24. Now, this is Service Operations Workspace. The cool thing about it is it's very interrupt driven. It keeps a tab open for everything you're working in. That stays open until you close it. This I don't need to deal with until later. This I don't need to deal with until this afternoon. And this incident is in progress. It's not impacted yet. I can close that. And then I've got Able. He's going to come back if he needs help on his password reset. The only thing I have to work on is Beth's request. Yes, let's set up the AutomatePro Quick Start AI as a proof of concept. And that's what this recording is going to be, is the AutomatePro Quick Start AI proof of concept. And what we're going to prove in this concept is how to use AI to very quickly create a test plan, run a test plan, check the defects and manage the defects or issues with the test plan, and then run it again when you've got everything working perfectly. Then you can create a documentation, articles, user guides, guided tours. So let's show you how that works. We are in Service Operations Workspace. We've got our last incident was 24. I want to remember that because that's the one I will use as our Quick Start. To go into Quick Start, we just simply type Quick Start in the ServiceNow window, and we want to do under AutomatePro Auto Test are all the different Quick Start AIs. There's 3 different types. You can create a AI-driven Quick Start test from a form in ServiceNow, which of course the interactions are, also incident, problem, change, request. So for quick forms, you can create forms from ServiceNow. You can create a quick start AI from a catalog item, or you can create it from a record producer. Let's start with our quick start AI form. And from this, because we showed you from the workspace, we're going to do our UI type as workspace. We want to submit a new form. We want to create a new test plan, Service Operations Workspace interactions. Now, when I'm doing a AI test plan, I like to put AI in front of the naming convention so that I know what is built from scratch versus what's done from AI. It will tell you by automatically labeling the front of your test, but I like to do that so I can see it from a list view very easily. What is AI versus what is a manual test? Now under login, I've got a model block, which automatically, when I select AutomatePro ITIL user, it's going to automatically use the login test block name, the number for the name, and then it's going to put the password to log in as that AMP ITIL user, AutomatePro ITIL user. Now under Workspace, we can look up all the different tables we can register under. In this case, we want Service Operations Workspace. So we'll just type that and select Service Operations Workspace. Next, we select the list view. Now, if you remember correctly, that list view, when we were talking about workspaces, we're talking about the bulleted list right under your home in your workspace. So when we talk about what fields we're using from Service Operations Workspace, home is the field you open into. It says overview. We're going to click this list. And when we're talking about the list view that it wants, we want the first list view type, which is interactions. So we go over to here. We've got Service Operations Workspace, which was that overview. Now we want to type our list category, which is interactions. And our list item, we will select all. And then for our template record, for our view, we'll select default view. And for our template record, we will select, remember, the very last one is 24. I'm going to select 24 because that's the one that we created manually. And then select generate. That's it. Now what Quick Start AI is doing is it's looking at that interactions record, IMS24, and it's looking at how to build a test plan that takes you from logging in, navigating, typing in the fields that are necessary to create that test run, and you'll see log in, create the record, log out, log back in, and search for that newly created interaction. The next we're going to do, now that we've created all of these tests automatically, this test plan has been automatically generated by AutomatePro for the table interaction using our record IMS24. Let's take and create a test run by pressing the Create Test Run button at the top, and then we'll select the target environment, which is going to be our demo environment, Nova Scale demo, and include all blocks and initiate. Again, now our test plan is running all of the tests that are identified below. And what's happened? 4 major blocks, and under the blocks, we've got 1 step, 1 check, 12 steps, 13 checks, 1 step, 1 check, and 7 steps, 7 checks. If we open up the arrow for this, we can see the 1 step. In this case, it's logging in as AMP ITIL. The AI generator has automatically created the 12 steps we need to fill out the AI test case. You should expect when using AI that there will be defects found because there's always slight differences between out of the box and a demo system. So you can expect to have defects, and that's quite normal. But this is still much faster than manually clicking in to each step to type this every time you need to do it. And once you've built it, you can reuse it infinite. So let's look at what our tests are doing now. This test, once it logs in, it navigates to the Service Operation Workspace. It goes to the Interactions menu under All, like I showed you as we clicked through it. It's going to click a New button to create a new interaction. It's going to perform the test steps. It's going to store the data, and it's going to select the choice for Chat and New and the Open For. Now this is going to create an error because we don't have application reference lookup field in our interactions. So we know we get an error there that we can take out in just a matter of moments. But let's show you how the rest of this works. So this will take you through each step of the process. And then we'll log out of the system, log back in as AMP ITIL user, and search for our newly created ticket. Now here is how this works. When we have selected create the test run, run status will say execution is in progress until it finishes and said executed. On the right, we have a visual status. This is an overall visual status indicator of how much of the test is done and how much remains. You'll see this fill up with green as everything is successful. You'll see a little blip of red or a big blip of red when we detect defects. And then you might see gray after that red when the defect needs to be resolved for the rest of the run to complete successfully. At this point, in the middle of our main information field, we will now see the test run percentage complete refers to how much of these test steps below are completed. And at this point, about 40% are complete. And if we look at the status indicator above and this particular test run percentage passed, we can see of the 40% that's run, 40% so far has passed successfully. There's our red blip that I told you we'd be capturing because it's looking for a field that our demo system does not have in it. And then it's created a blip of gray. 48%, almost 50% is done, and 47% has passed. Now, if we go down below to these blocks below, eventually we'll start to see these high-level steps and each of the sub-steps start to populate with how much of that's complete. If it's all the way green, that particular block is successful. If it's green with a little bit of red, you can open up and see which particular step had red in it. You need to go back in and fix. Now, if we scroll back up, we'll see execution is still in progress. We're about 60% done. When this is all the way finished, we'll be able to open and see which steps had issues. But the next thing we do after the test run completes is we will go into this test run viewer. And what this test run viewer lets us do is view the test like a movie. In the top, it'll show the screenshot of where the navigation is while it's running, and it will describe the test steps and the test blocks and test steps underneath. And if it passes, you'll see passed with green. And if there's a defect, it will say failed with red. From a failed, you can actually go in and look at more details about the defect, why it happened, so you understand what you can do to solve it. We're going to, if the system finishes timely, we'll do this all in one run tonight. Sometimes it takes a little bit longer to finish. That's not driven so much by the system as it is the network and how many people might be trying to access it at the same time. But we're almost done with this test run. We're 83% finished, 88% finished, and 86% has passed. Now, as we start to go down below, it hasn't started to show us what's passed and what hasn't. Sometimes it waits right until it's done to start to show you what's successful in green and what is issues in red. But in this case, we are now done. We know that because the run status now says executed. Visual status shows that we were successful except for this one little blip, and that exists under creating the interaction record. It looks like we only had maybe one or two issues. If we open this up, we can probably get a sense. Yep, one. And that was the one I said we were going to get. Populating the application reference failed, and that created a defect. Now, first I'm going to show you how we view a test run after it's finished running. We click the violet blue test run viewer. Here we will see the visual indication screenshot of where we are, what test block we're on, and what step it is on, and what is the result of that step. In the first step, of course, we can hit the play button and have it play like a movie. Right now, we're logging in as the AmpITIL user. That's passed. Now we're navigating to the Service Operations Workspace experience. We have done that. Now we are going to the List View Interactions, All, and that passed. Next, we will begin to type in the fields, selecting chat from the type, populating the user color name, and here is where the application failed. And then it continues with the rest, creating the interaction, logging out of the system, logging back into the system as an AMP idle user, navigating to that service operations workspace, to the list view, to the all, to the interaction, to the record, IMS 25, which was the one that we created from or copied IMS 24, and then open that record. And there we are at the finish. That passed as well. So we only have end-to-end one defect to correct. Now, if we didn't know what that defect was, we could go back and look through that defect and find it. But in this case, click to next defect. It'll take us right to the expected defect where something was expected and it wasn't there. In this case, navigating to the application reference field and populating that with Service Operations Workspace 4, that isn't there.